again, you don't have to go in and work with the young lady, work with the young man, and try to make them what you think they should be. You just go in easily and help them to become who the best person that they can be. You see that? See how we starting out in general and we coming down narrow? Make you a little more comfortable? Makes it a little easier thing to do? That's what I want to see. Head nod, so when we leave, we'll be fine with that. Okay? A role model. Martin Luther King Jr.
Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe. Okay. Keep those in mind. Emily made a great point, and we'll make sure we get this. What's the key difference between a role model and a mentor? Because we said that difference, right? We said they weren't the same, but what's the key?
You could have, your role model could be somebody you never actually meet or talk to. It could be an athlete or someone like that, but a mentor is somebody you actually have a relationship with.
Fantastic. Get out of there. I couldn't have said it better. It's the relationship and the distance in the relationship. We're never going to be able to, well, we may be able to, we're probably never going to be able to touch the President of the United States, President Barack Obama. We may not even be able to touch him, or Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. However, they may be good role models, but they're probably not going to be our mentors. So that's how we see the difference. Fantastic. So we see the difference? We bring it in? It's good stuff? It's good stuff? A mentor is, we talked about the left-hand side, right? We can hit that all night. Let's talk a little bit on the right-hand side. Because again, this is going to help you make your decisions when you're dealing with your mentee. The first one up here. See that? A savior. Mentor is what? Is not a savior. Why is that up there?
You don't have to feel like you have to solve all the problems in their lives.
This is the smartest group I've ever been involved with. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Couldn't have said it better. That's the key, because what's going to happen is, a lot of times, and in most situations, the youth that we deal with, they already come with challenges, they already come with problems, they're already in a situation where they need some assistance. Is that true? Knowing that there's going to be a lot of different things that you're going to be exposed to, like Mr. Wilson told us about. It's not your job to solve all of those things. Your job is to what? Stay within your program guidelines, right? Use the specific examples that we're giving tonight and stay within that definition. Now, if you can't solve a problem that comes with a challenge, who are you supposed to go to? The leader, program coordinator, the liaison, what else can you be called? The mentor coordinator, the head honcho in charge, whoever. If you have any questions, that's who you go to, okay? They will probably give you some information or they help you through it, but if not, then they could refer you to another source. Another community helper, like my son, they teach him in school, go to a community helper. Maybe you another community helper or someone else that can help them out. Okay? So you're never alone. A mom probably has mentoring characteristics, but may not necessarily be all the way mentored based on that definition. Okay? Now, the reason a foster parent is up there, and we'll say parent, is because what is one of the main things a parent you always remember does? Punishes. Okay, all right. Punishes or give discipline. Yeah. All right. He remembers that. All right. So parents give discipline. Mentors, we don't discipline per se when we deal with our mentees. Now, if they have challenges or they're talking back or something like that, we will try to talk them through it. But if they can't, then there's other mechanisms that we handle. Again, we go to who?
Leader.
A leader, whoever the leader is, and we stay within our guidelines. So you see the difference? Again, a parent versus a mentor and the things they have. We bring it in. We don't deal with the discipline, but we do have ways to work with children that have problems. Okay? They may surprise you. And if you haven't dealt with the youth today, they're going to do some stuff that you don't think they should do, or they're going to act the way you think they shouldn't act, but don't be surprised because I'm telling you now. Okay? And then you don't have to get out of the program because of that, but you'll know how to deal with that through the program procedures or some of the communication techniques. Okay? Now, therapists. Is anybody here a therapist? But as a mentor, are we going to do therapeutic things? A little bit, but we're not going to take it to the depth of therapy. You know, you're going to have some problems, some challenges. That's part of the mentoring, but if it gets really deep, if it gets really mental, then again, we go to back up to our program director, our guidelines, and we help a person with that. I think when you mention, abuse, those kind of things, and we're not equipped for that. We don't handle that, but we get it to the appropriate person that can handle that. Okay? All right, don't be scared. All right? Okay? Parole officer, do we need to say anything about that? Okay. ATM machine, why is that there?
Because we're not.
Because we're not, exactly, we're not. A mentor is not an ATM machine. Real quick, money changes things. We want to always keep our relationship pure. If you start off giving them money or gifts or things of that nature, then you're always going to have to give them to them. Not because they're bad, it's just because they're children. If you haven't had any little brothers or little sisters or little nieces or nephews, if you do something one time, every time you see them, that's what they want. If you give them a candy bar, every time you see them, they want a candy bar. If you give them money, every time you see them, they want money. That's just what little kids do. And guess what? That's what we did. Okay? So we want to keep our relationship pure. That's why we don't want to be an ATM machine. Okay? So we got what a mentor is and what a mentor is not. Any questions? You doing all right?
Wait, I got a question.
Okay.
What if they tell you something, like they're doing something illegal or something, and they don't want you to tell anybody, but they tell you that,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want you to tell even like your leader?
Okay.
See how that person is.
Now, what do you think you do?
Depends. It's like, I don't know. I really actually don't.
When you don't know what to do, what do you do?
You go to the person, but isn't that like kind of the point? Like, I don't know. I don't want to betray these kids' trust, but at the same time.
Exactly. But issues of safety, you always have to let somebody know. Issues of safety, and what's the other issues? Two issues. It's safety and... Well, safety kind of covered it, but it's specific areas of safety. But anytime if they're putting themselves, if they're a danger to themselves or they're a danger to others, then you have to let someone know. That's what it is, safety. Okay? So that's the answer to the question. Any safety issues, if they're a danger to themselves, if they're a danger to others, let your program coordinator know, then they'll know exactly what to do from that situation. Again, you're never alone. That's a great question. Assignment. Now, side note. We do more interactive things, and we do more small group things, and we do more role-playing things in our presentation. Okay? That's part of the presentation. However, try to keep within the time limit, and because we have some things going, we're not going to do all of those things tonight, so I'm going to talk you through some things. Okay? Why do I have to have a side note? Why do I have to tell you that? Because we do evaluations at the end, and the people that want to do role play and the people that want to do the back and forth, we may not get to that, but it's not that we don't want to do it. It's that we're trying to make sure you get the meat of the presentation. Okay? And I want to be sensitive to your time and your needs and make sure you get all the things you want to. Okay? Is that all right? Okay, we ready to go? All right, let's keep going. I want to keep going, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's decide. We're going all the way through? Yes. Okay, let me get some water. All right, stereotype. Stereotype, positive and negative. No twins. Stereotype is positive. Who says it's positive? Who says stereotype is negative? What's the point? I think y'all kind of get the feel how to go for these things. What's the point? Situational or? Context, all right, exactly. Stereotype, we usually think of stereotypes in a negative way. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. That's the point. And, see, our point with stereotypes, when we're dealing with our young people, we want to go complete with open mind, okay? We know we're going to deal with some youth that have been in challenging situations. Sometimes they even call that risk, or maybe their grades are not that good and all those things. We're not even going to care about that when we go in. We're going to go in and we're going to find out for ourselves, who is this person that I've been assigned to what? Help, guide, what we say, give support, care about, provide friendship. That's our goal. That's our point. So we go in with that mindset, okay? We're not going to go out and think anything negative about them or have any preconceived ideas. We're going to meet them where they are. We're going to use the things that we have, and we're going to help them become what? Who they want to be. All right? Good? Man, this is awesome. Stereotypes usually stem from what? Personal experiences, media portrayals, family, and peer influences. All right? We ready? Keep it moving? Effective communication. I love this area. And the reason this is a great area is because, again, we talk about mentors, mentees in terms of relationships. And in relationships, what is the number one thing? Or at least should be an important thing. Hint?
Communication.
Communication, listening, exactly. So every relationship, if you find out most of the times, in a relationship, if you're having problems, most of the time, it may not be because of you or the person, it may be because of ineffective communication. So tonight we're going to look at a few communication techniques that not only are going to help us in our mentor-mentee relationships, but some things that we can use when we leave. You might have roommates. You can use your roommate. Have you worked through that situation with your clothes all over the floor, perhaps? Or talking on the phone when you're trying to sleep? Those kind of things. All right, so we need some techniques to work through that. If we have people that are of the opposite sex in our lives that we have to deal with, I don't know what you call them these days, but those people. Our parents, and it's sort of counterintuitive to how we usually think or how we usually do in communication. And this is this. While I'm speaking, you're thinking of other things at certain times. Sometimes you're thinking about what I'm saying, but sometimes you're thinking about maybe my car okay, or maybe my phone is not buzzing, I don't know what to do. Those kind of things. All right? If you can clear your mind when you're communicating to someone and not think about those other things, and this is real key here, and not think about how you're going to respond, then you're going to be more effective. And intuitively, why is that? You're not thinking too hard about it. You're actually listening. And just to follow up on that a little bit more, if you're thinking about other things, if you're thinking about what you're going to say, then you're really not listening to what the person is saying. So you may miss a point. And that's also going to help you with your homework. Okay, side note, go to class. Go to class, and when you go to class, be prepared and listen to what your professor is saying and focus on what your professor is saying, and that's going to help you lessen your homework time because you get the point. Because when I went to school, it's like never go to class, just get notes. But the notes you get are the other person's notes. They're not the things that are important to you. So go to class, listen to your professor, try to clear your mind, and then take your own notes. That's going to help you get better grades. I just threw that in for you. That's free. All right? Okay? Now, a person that does that, I think, very effective, if you ever notice, is our president. If you ever seen President Obama in debates, or if you ever seen him dealing with the press, it's almost like he's just staring at the person when they're speaking to him. And what I think he's doing, I think he's listening, and I think he's clearing his mind. And one of the things that's very noticeable is, even after he's finished listening to them, it's always a pause, isn't it? You ever thought about it? It's always a little pause. And I think what he's doing, I think he's doing a technique. I think he's focusing on the person, I think he's clearing his mind, and then before he decides what he's going to say, he thinks about it, and then he gives an effective answer. Okay? So try that tonight. When I'm speaking, try to clear your mind, try to focus on what I'm saying, and then don't think about what you want to say until I ask you a question. Okay? Can we do that? You're thinking now, aren't you? That's good, all right? You're paying attention. Is listening an active or a passive activity? Got the question? Is listening an active or a passive activity? Now, everyone who says that listening is passive, raise your hand. So everyone thinks listening is active. 100% on point. 100% on point. We don't need to spend any time on that, and I'm glad we can move forward with that. So an active listener focuses on what? Understanding the speaker's point of view. They do not judge the message. Anybody read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey? If you get a chance to read that, what did he say? First seek to what? First seek to understand, then to be understood. That's awesome. I'm telling you, this stuff in communication is going to help you tonight. So when you're having an argument with your roommate, step back, let them speak first, try to understand them, then speak back to them, then try to have them understand you. Okay? That's effective communication. If you're on the same page, you're going to be a decisive. Okay? All right. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Active listening what? Requires concentration. You all are doing that, I think, by silence. So the verbal and nonverbal message can be heard. Just found this out a couple of years ago. Somebody can help me with this. in communication, when we're communicating with a person, it's only what, 10 to 15%. Is it 10 to 15? Is it even 15?
That 10 is verbal, right?
10% of the message is verbal. 90% of it is nonverbal. Now, I used to think it was all about what was being said, but it's really, a lot of it's not about what's being said. It's the nonverbal cues, those kind of things. So we have to pay attention to those, especially when we're dealing with youth that we may not be familiar with dealing with. Okay, they may be saying certain things, and we got to pay attention to what they say. We also have to pay attention to what they do. Okay, we agree with that? All right. Paraphrasing. Who want to talk about paraphrasing a little bit? Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit.
Isn't it what you did with our characteristics?
Okay, exactly. And what did I do?
You took big, made small.
Took them big and made them small. But then when I asked you about them, I said them back to you and asked you, did you agree with the terms that I used? Okay? And then if you said you agreed, then I wrote it down. You see that? So you kind of give them a summary back to what the person said. If they say, yes, that's what I said, then you've been effective, then you can respond. If they say, no, that's not what I said, then you try it again until they say, yes, we agree. Is that good? All right. Door open. Just a tiny bit? Did someone say a tiny bit about door open? It's asking an open-ended question so that you can get some additional information. Now, I try this, and people are so smart these days, it never works anymore, but I'm going to try it anyway. If you ask Johnny this question, I'm going to ask you.